Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to Above the Knee podcast with me, Liam Loftus. As always, we're joined by my man, Jay Extended. Jay, how are we?
I'm happy, man. Looking forward to this.
All good?
All good.
Absolutely buzzing. And today we are joined by presenter, announcer, Ellen Ellard. Ella, how are you? Ellen,
Hello,
sorry.
I'm so good. I'm so good. How are you?
All good, thanks. Yeah, pretty buzzing. All good. No complaints. Me and Jay have started playing pro clubs together, and he's got a bit. So I've been very
It was
happy
funny.
today.
I had my trial yesterday, and Liam was like, "You any good?" I was like, "I hope so," and then it worked out. So
he's better than us. It was long. He was better than us, and my friends obviously don't know Jay, so I was getting lit up for mistakes, and it's just not great. It's not great. But yeah, that's been us really. Have you been busy? Been up to much?
Yeah, really busy. There's just so much going on at the minute, sport-wise. I'm off to Scotland to do some stuff with the Six Nations. So that's like the thing that's coming like at me quite quick at the minute. February's full of that. We've got quite a few home games over at Manchester City as well. That's always luck of the draw. Sometimes we have it where we just have, I think for like, especially like most of December as well. I know a lot of them were postponed, but we had quite a few home games, or it was quite a lot of away games scheduled. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to be about at the stadium that much, but February is absolutely packed. So yeah, there's lots going on at the minute.
How have you found it? Your first, well, we're in like half season at City now. How have you found it? You enjoyed it?
Absolutely loved it. It is the dream. It's been so good. Obviously we had a bit of a tricky start to the season, and that was quite difficult. I think, being an announcer as well, and I'm supposed to be there being like hype man, and then things aren't going our way, that's quite tricky. But just to see everyone, all the fans, the players, all rally around each other, and now look at what a blistering start to 2022 we've had. Yeah, it's just such a good position to be in, and yeah, just generally like the whole team at City are the best. It is such a good place to work.
How was what was your journey to City? What was the process like? Because do you have to do like auditions? Do you have to come in and do like, because like mine, when I got my job there, it was like everyone's always like, oh, how do you get the job? And I applied online, and then I had to come in and do like a trial run sort of thing. Was yours similar?
Yeah, really similar. So mine was a bit of a weird one because I applied during the pandemic. So the job came up October 2020, I think. That sounds really long ago.
Ages ago, like 2 years.
Like ages ago. Yep. That's mental. Yeah, so I think it was October 2020, job came up. I think we'd just gone into, I don't think it was quite a lockdown yet, but it was when you could only have like 6 people go on holiday. I was supposed to be going on holiday with a group of more than 6, and I volunteered myself to be the one that didn't go so they could go and have the time of their lives. And for like me being a 21-year-old at the time, I was sat in my flat on LinkedIn on a Friday night, which is like,
that sounds entertaining.
Properly like living the good life. And I saw this job and I was like, oh my gosh, like that is my dream job. Like that is me through and through. I had an announcing background with athletics, had a presenting background through working for the BBC, and I was like, this job is an absolute bit of me. Anyway, because it was a massive club, and I was like, there's gonna be so many applicants, I was like, I'll apply, and like I'll put so much time into like getting the application right and making sure that it was all like perfect and everything that I wanted to put across. But I was like, didn't expect anything at all. And then I remember just before Christmas got an email, so it was like a month later after I applied, being like, oh, we liked you, was it film? I think I had to film some videos because it was like COVID times. I had to like film myself doing some announcing. I think I had like 5 tasks that I had to do. So some of them were presenting, some of them were the standard sort of announcing, going through a team sheet, announcing a goal. I think I did a substitution, that kind of thing. And then I sent them off again, thinking, oh, it's great that I've got this far. This is really good. That was like a self-confidence boost in itself. And then I got an email back in January being like, we really liked you. We've narrowed it down. Would you come on a Zoom with us and we'll have a chat about the next step of the process? Then ended up coming up to Manchester, which obviously where I'm now based, but at the time I was based in Cambridge. So I had to travel up to Manchester for a sort of like in-stadium audition, which was a bit mental because it was like I came up and had to do all the announcing stuff to just like no one in the stadium. I think there's the groundsman, and I was there sort of properly trying to get like hyping that up. and the groundsman's just there going across on his mower. And then that was sort of how it then happened, and I got a phone call a couple of weeks later saying that I was the one who got the job. So that was sort of the process. But it's a bit weird because I've got quite a few announcing friends from like my athletics and that, who so rarely do jobs like this come up through an application process. Most of the time it is either you're known to the club or you're just sort of like more of a like work your way up. So you start off, as a producer, and then sort of, or like a live events producer, and then you're sort of working your way up, or same with, as you'll know, sort of in like doing the sort of more sort of TV presentary kind of things, you start and sort of make your way up. So this was like just such a good experience to have that sort of, not have to just sort of, there's no, what's the right way of putting it, like it wasn't like I had to know anyone like to get in. It was sort of like they just sort of took my experience as it was, which was really nice, because so often in the industry it is like sort of a who do you know thing.
Yeah, you copy my whole flow. Moved up when 21, got a job at City, applied online from Cambridgeshire. Yeah, copy my whole flow. Yeah, it is a bit of a mental, like it almost feels, I don't know if you find it, I always think it almost sounds underwhelming when you tell people like, I just saw it online.
Yeah, especially.
And people are like, well, how on earth did you see it? And did you used to check all the time? And you're like I saw mine on like the actual Man City website. Like not even on like LinkedIn. Like I remember like browsing the shop and I was like, let me just like see what's going on over here. I've not seen this tab before. And as a job, I was like, right, this is mental. But it's actually mental how similar our like path was. So that's pretty cool. What was you doing back in Cambridge? Because you were on radio, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in Peterborough, and then moved down to Cambridge, where my work sort of shifted more predominantly to Cambridge itself. I was a presenter on Radio Cambridgeshire, but also did like local radio. You do everything. So I presented BBC Introducing, so that was like my main presenting gig. But then I'd also go out and do some like reporting on the sport, do like standard sports journo job where I'd sort of get in, go and find a story to go and report on, go out and sort of do like the community side of sport as well. I presented the Sunday Faith show on one occasion. Basically you just sort of muck in and do a bit of everything. So that was like such a good grounding of just being like so well-rounded. But then also like that made me realize that I wanted to do the sport thing more. And especially at the time, because I've been doing England athletics stuff on the side, I was like, that is what I want to do. Like the stadium stuff, the being, amongst the crowd, like that was what I wanted to do. And like, obviously like everything sort of fed in, because the stuff I was doing, like my news reading, really helps them when I'm delivering the scripts. And so it's all sort of fed in together. There's been so much variety, but it's all sort of like, it all helps each other out at like certain points, which is nice.
Talking like women's football, was you like a big fan of the game before, or was like a Man City your entry point? Because I'm a bit like that. Like I obviously knew about it, but it didn't really interest me massively. And then once I started working at City, along with the women's team, it was like this. It's like an amazing team, ridiculous setup. It's like really hard not to get involved and not to love it. And like I'm fully aware that like my women's football education has been like spoiled. Like I'm so lucky to have experienced what I have like so early into my journey. Like what was yours? Was Man City the start for you as well?
So like I was on the sports team at Radio Cambridgeshire, so I did a lot of the local sport there. So growing up in Peterborough, sort of raised as a, like I had like got taken to like the Peterborough United games, but then also like been down to like Cambridge United games as well. So that was sort of like, then I ended up working on them. So like that was how I got into like sort of I'd say sort of like the heavier football side of things in general. And then from there, it was quite hard to then find a women's team to support, because Cambridgeshire, that we haven't got like, I mean, it's so good to see now, like there is sort of that there is talent coming through, but we haven't got like huge teams in Cambridgeshire anyway, let alone sort of the women's teams to go sort of alongside it. So I like obviously growing up like super sporty, come from like a really sporty family, like played football when I was younger, like just like at school, one of like 3 girls who did, which was very sort of standard. And then when I went to like secondary school, wanted to get more involved with football and wanted to continue that, but that wasn't an option. It was very much like girls do their sports, boys do their sports. And so then sort of like drifted away from it and sort of focused on more individual stuff. But then when I was especially like working and covering football a lot more for Radio Cambridgeshire, that was when I was like, right, okay, like I want to make sure, like I want to get back into this. I want to enjoy it and see what's out there. And then obviously through like following the Lionesses, like Steph Horton, Ellen White, like huge heroes of mine. So then sort of started following City because of that, just because that was where sort of the players that I admire played. And that was sort of how then obviously when I'm looking at City and when like that job came up, I was like, that is the absolute dream, because so many of the players that I admire and just the way the club conducts itself with, you know, aligning the men's and the women's team together so closely like they have done for so long now. I was like, that's the kind of thing that I want to be part of. And that's like the environment that I want to be part of. So it isn't like something that I've got quite a few friends who were lucky enough to be able to sort of stay in that sort of football pathway, got picked up quite young, and then were, even though they couldn't play football at school, were able to go out and join clubs locally, or their parents would sort of take them to other ends of the country, which was almost like for most people always the case. But it was like, I'm just so glad that I found a way to sort of get back involved with it, because when I was young, like especially when I was like really, really young, it was such like an important part of just going out and having a kickabout, like even though it was with the lads, like at break time, like, you know, it was something I really enjoyed. And yeah, I'm sort of glad it's sort of come back like full circle a bit, and I'm able to, you know, play a part in the sport again.
Awesome. St Ives Town Women, banging team.
Yeah,
that's my team back home. St
love
Ives
that.
Town Women. Yeah, a few of my friends played for him. Yeah, big fan of them. That was probably, I remember like going to their training and stuff, because I was at the FA for a bit, like Cams FA, and then used to go along with them. And then yeah, it was like went from that like a couple of times of like within like a couple of months, and then straight to City. And I was like, this is mental. Because I was like, it's quite good here, but then like the Academy Stadium's like the best in the country, really, and it like it's a joke. Like for you being able to work
stadium.
there,
It's a beautiful.
I
think like especially the Academy Stadium, I think it really sets the bar in women's football, especially like the WSL. Like and I love the fact that it's one of the easiest stadiums to get to, because I think like, especially when it comes to like the top three, it's really hard to get to Arsenal. It's really hard to get to Chelsea. Like the Academy Stadium, it's just so much easier. And I think that definitely helps attract big crowds. So like top stadium, especially at night, that stadium at night, wonders.
It's so easy. Just been on top of the tram. That's the one. Trust me. After go get yourself a little snack from Asda, all of that, get yourself back into town. Yeah, it is absolutely wavy.
But I think like the match day experience as well, just as a whole, and I know I'm going to be like slightly biased as well, very biased, but generally like going around and like following City, like I've been to quite a few away games this season, and I genuinely think we put on such a good match day experience, and like that genuinely makes me like even more proud to be part of it, because I feel like the club really has its fans are like right in the center, and especially for the women's game as well, just properly like takes care of them. We have so much fun. Like we've got the fan zone there, you know, the Moonies are there throwing out t-shirts. I was looking on social media, and there's just a hilarious video of like Moonchester just lobbing a t-shirt into the crowd, and just like stuff like that. Generally like the quizzes we do at halftime, going down, like the other week I was interviewing Ellie Roebuck pitch side, just stuff like that where you can get the fans just get so close to the action. And I think the Academy Stadium as well, like we really bring the fans like right into the center of it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the. I mean, I'm obviously biased as well, but I think it's the best stadium, women's team wise, easily. And just like having a designated stadium, I think is so good. It's not.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not like, well, we saw it with the Euros. Like it's being held. The game's being held there. It's like not like United when it's being held at Old Trafford. I mean, amazing it's being held at Old Trafford, but it's like okay, like. That's not where the women's team plays. So it kind of like rubs a bit of the shine off. But I mean, any chance to get a dig in at United. But it is what it is. What's been your favourite moment? Like this season, what's been your favourite moment? What's been the highlight for you?
Oh, there's so many. I think and it's tricky because a lot of like the personal like moments that I felt really big were also some like of the hard moments for the team, which has been like quite an interesting thing to have to balance, like announcing at the FA Cup semi-final was unreal. Like when I saw that we had that as a home draw, that was amazing. Then obviously the result was really tough. So it's been quite tricky. Same with the Champions League. Huge moments. And I'm there like, oh wow, this is like insane. This is like such a huge stage. And then when things haven't gone completely our way, then it's like, oh, but then again, like we've had, especially in the run up, like the quarterfinal for the FA Cup, like huge win. And just sort of, that was my first like experience of announcing at an FA Cup. And going straight in at a quarterfinal was pretty cool. So like, you know, that was a huge win. So I look back on that really fondly. There's just been so many really nice moments. Like even like there was one match, I think it was the Wickham game, where I was over at the Etihad and talking to Karima pitchside. And it was just like crazy because I'm there talking to Karima, you know, our goalkeeper, who was like our starting goalkeeper at the time, pitchside at a men's game, putting the game out there and the women's game out there and showing like, this is what we do the other side of the road. Come over and join us. So stuff like that as well. But I'd say definitely like, even though the result didn't go our way, like sort of personally being able to be there and announce at the FA Cup was great. And then sort of like the wins we've had, I mean, Arsenal, that would like, I obviously not the win, but you know, just announcing that goal going in after, you know, everything we've gone through, to then sort of have that moment was great. And yeah, like just like the big wins are great, you know, when the score line's huge and you're announcing those City goals go in one after another, like that's just such a great feeling. There's genuinely been so much, and I know like, especially with the way we're progressing, the way we've started 2022, I know there's going to be like so many more great moments as well.
This one's a bit like, it might be, I'm not really sure how you'll answer it, but just thinking like, how do you, I obviously got to answer my own head, how do you navigate, like, because everything you do is live, how do you navigate a bad result? Like, how do you, like, it's like, okay, I've got to announce it, like it's a few seconds before you're about to go on, you're looking at your mic, you're like, right, I've got to, like, what can I do here? Like, how do you navigate that?
So one of the things that I have always sort of kept quite sort of close to, like, not, I don't know, like one of the things that I've always sort of valued myself on is I never wanted to be one of those announcers and that just when something didn't go their way was just like deadpan, like oh, goal for Arsenal. Oh, the only time I've been like that was that Spurs handball was the only time I've been like properly been like, just because of the chaos around it, I was like, is this a thing? Like,
yeah,
that's the only time I've probably myself realized how sort of me sort of being like, and sort of the way I've conveyed that. It's tricky because you want to be respectful as well, especially in the women's game. I think it's quite different to sort of how you'd handle things in the men's. It is, even if, and you see this a lot, especially with a lot of our City fans, it is sort of one big family. It's especially one big family at City, but even the travelling fans will come over and chat and come over and be very respectful, in my experience at least. So I think it's quite important not to just be completely like, and most of the time you've got another game to look forward to. So you'll say, if the score hasn't gone your way, just say, be really respectful. Thanks to the fans coming out, look after yourselves. Always do a get home safe message at the end, and then look forward to the next game and sort of hype for that. So that's how I'd sort of deliver it in the stadium, as sort of like towards the crowd. But I found it sort of a little bit weird having to juggle those emotions inside me of being like, you go on air and it's that buzz, isn't it? You get a weird adrenaline from being on air and doing something live like that. But then also when the result hasn't gone necessarily your way, which is what I was saying with like the FA Cup, amazing experience. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. This is something I'll look back on for the rest of my life. But then the result hasn't gone our way. And I'm having to like, got this sort of like internal struggle.
You almost feel
like,
guilty for enjoying it, sort of thing. Yeah.
I've got that pride, but then I've also got that's really gutting because we could have been at Wembley. So it is a bit of a challenging one, but I always try, especially when I'm announcing, to be like respectful about everything. Like, you know, if when the traveling team score, when the visitors score, like the other week when Bristol scored, there was two lads who come all the way up from Bristol. If I then announced it, and this is they're going absolutely wild in the corner, just the two of them, the only two, like I'm pretty sure they were the only two Bristol fans who'd come up. You know, if I was then like, or like, I know some stadiums don't even announce away goals, but like I feel like we've got to sort of be, how was I describing it the other way?
It's like when you strip it back, it's the fan experience for everyone. It's not just the home fans, and you've got to deliver a positive fan experience for everyone. Because because there's some teams that don't do very well, that like, and you see it every year, and teams struggle, but fans will follow them regardless. And I guess if you're putting on a poor show at the stadium, they're gonna be like, oh, my team's getting beat. Like, why am I coming here? So I guess you've got to put on a positive experience to go for like a reason. If it's not just the football, it's, oh, you know what, I like going to this stadium. I like all the stuff around it. So yeah, I get that. I like that.
And we definitely, like I was saying earlier, I think at the Academy Stadium, we definitely do. You turn up, you're greeted by like everyone is just happy to be there. You know, even when things aren't going our way, you know, I'm coming in and I'm like, you know, welcome to the Academy Stadium. Here's what we've got going on today. You know, we put so much on, like, we've got like the face painting, we do free hot and soft drinks, you know, making that fan experience, making people enjoy being there. You know, a minute goals are absolutely flying in, so they want to be there. And even when like stuff wasn't going our way, the City fans in particular, stood by the players through every step of the way, and were there on social media, like saying, do you know what, we move on, we move forward, we know what we can do. This hasn't been the best showing, but we move forward and we keep going. And so much, especially start of the season, was against City. The injuries, you know, once you get into that sort of, you know, I suppose, like, you know, look at our goalkeeper situation. You know, we're really like, we're down to like, you know, what is it, fourth and fifth choice goalkeepers at some point. It's like, you know, no other team at that point was struggling with injuries the way that City were. And still the fans and the players were so positive and always kept their heads up and always moved forward. And you then want to go and watch them. You want to go and be there, and you want to
you want to support them,
to cheer them on. Yeah, because they're putting in the energy to be like, right, we're going to be here and we're going to keep fighting.
I think that's the beauty of a team. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of a team, especially with this City team. You've got players like Kiara Keating that's come in, and like, she's only 17 years old, and like the fans get behind her. I remember I was at the Aston Villa City game, and like they came up with a chant for her, and it's like,
I love the chant.
That boosts her confidence so much. And like, you think about it, it's like that kind of family vibe that you get at City. It's like, it's gonna motivate the players to do much better. And then like when the team goes on a great run like they are now, it's like you remember the times when it wasn't great and how everyone stuck together. And I think that's what really helps build more supporters, because they come and they realize, oh my God, this is a great fan base. Like, everyone's a family. And it's like, it makes, even if you're a rival fan, like, you realize what it's like. And you're like, you know what, those City guys, they're really nice. And it's like, I think that's really important for the game moving forward.
I think a lot of the rival fans do love a trip to the Academy Stadium. You know, you look at, you know, everyone who turned out for the Arsenal game, you know, the travelling fans that turned out for the Chelsea game, for both Chelsea games. You know, it's such a great day out, and like you said, you know, you want to be there to experience it, and the fans sort of the fans remember how much the players are putting, and the players will remember how much the fans are putting. I loved seeing Kiara. So I was at Leicester or Burton for Kiara's debut, which was, you know, such a strong debut, and Kiara against Arsenal was she was great. She was really like that. I think was it 2 Miedemar goal attempts she saved. You know, some of that, she threw herself right down there on so many occasions, and it was just so good to see.
Yeah,
and
point
she's got
blank.
all the fans behind her. Yeah, exactly. Like, just getting right behind her, chanting her name, and we do that for like every single like player that comes through. Like the 2 new debutants who came on for the FA Cup game against Nottingham Forest at weekend. I was sitting in front of some of the fans, and they're like the parents had come through, and they were like sharing all the information, so we all like, they knew everything about them, so they could like support them properly, getting like their photos taken and all of that, so they've got stuff to put on social media, properly looking after them. And that's the same sort of with like how I felt. Like, as soon as I stepped through the doors at Academy Stadium, like it felt like a family, and I felt so welcome and so looked after by the fans. And sort of, it goes both ways. If we're putting on a great experience, they want to sort of, look after me as well. I've had like times where I've had like videos and like pictures taken of me when I'm like out and about doing my thing, and like they're sending them over, and that's like, it's really nice. It does feel like such a family, like more so than I felt sort of being and working and involved with other clubs.
Yeah. Also, I want to think, especially speaking on that kind of family, I think when you watch City, and just because Kiara's young and she's come in, to have people like Steph Horton and Alex Greenwood like constantly like reassuring her, I think that's one thing sometimes you don't really see it on TV. And then when you actually go to games and see how much that communication really can help a player, just to know that you're okay, cool, you're okay, that's fine, things like that. And then that's when players have great performances like that. So I think it's a great to have. There's a perfect blend, I think, at City. You've got the youth, you've got the players like Jess Park, Lauren Hem, Kara Keating, but then you've got Steph, you've got Lucy, and I think that's why the team on their day is like unbeatable, in my opinion.
Definitely. I remember being, like I said, when I was at Leicester for Kiara's debut, they were all chatting back to Kiara and being like, right, okay, this is, if something had happened, if like, if like she played the ball out or whatever, and they were like, oh, next time, like this way, they're communicating so well with her, making sure that she knows exactly what she's doing, especially on that case in particular, because Karima had warmed up and had gone through the warm-ups, was named, and then it was, before the match started that they had to then swap.
Yeah.
So they took her like under their wing straight away, and like her and Ruby is so nice to see because they're coming through it together, and her and Ruby Mace like supporting each other, and just them, you can you see them and you're like, right, they're defining, this is going to help them and this can define their career. And look, they're sharing a pitch with Steph Horton, Lucy Bronze. It's so great to see that and see them building, and same with the two debutantes who came on the weekend. Just I was looking at them and I was like, right, the way that they were being communicated, like the team were communicating with them, even though they had to travel down separately because of COVID protocols, they haven't probably had that complete time to like immerse themselves in that squad as they would do. They had the training days before, but they didn't have the whole going down on coach together, that kind of vibe. So yeah, like just seeing that in action is so nice.
The team's just good vibes, man.
Definitely.
It always has been. Like, it's just like going back to Jess Park, having played like 50 games
already.
That's in realistically, she's now a senior player.
Yep.
Like in terms of appearances, and it's just like mental. Like the way they can get players in so young, and they're just so mature straight away and can hit the ground running. And it's like, even if you don't, we've got these ridiculous players who can drop in and out. And yeah, it's a very well balanced team for me. And yeah, big fan of them all.
Like, it's definitely looking at our new signing as well. Yeah, she's only 20, Julie Backstad. Like, she's like going to come in and be developed through the club. So when I saw her, like the signing and all the announcement about that, I was like, this is like great. She's a player who's proven herself in a similar way to Bunny as well.
Yep.
Proven herself in other leagues, got a significant amount of goals, in especially like goals to appearances ratio. You're bringing her in, and then you're helping develop them further and setting them off on that trajectory, which is what I love about the club.
That Bunny signing,
to come in as well and not
that
have
Bunny
to...
signing. Oh my god, that Bunny signing! Like, as a Jamaican, I think like you're not really going to see that many Jamaican players in the WSL. So it was like, I remember the rumors like a Jamaican might be heading to the WSL, and I was like, wherever she goes, I'm supporting. So it's like I've got a soft spot for Man City. As soon as I saw Bunny, I was like, and I think it's amazing because like I talked to family members in Jamaica, and it's like they don't really, because the men weren't doing well internationally, they weren't really watching football. But then I was like, watch Bunny. Bunny's really good. And now they've become Man City fans. So it's like, I think that kind of aspect of a new player joining a new league, and like they can influence different fans as well. I love Bunny. Whenever she plays, like I think she does a great job, and like City of Sport having her and Ellen White up top.
Yeah, for me, she's like not matched in terms of the league. Like the way she plays, she can do all the little touches, and she's very cute with it. And then like she's so much more powerful than everyone. I remember saying, I tweeted it early on in the year, and I was like, listen, when Bunny gets fully fit, like it's long for you lot. It's very, very long. And like, unfortunately, she's had a few injuries, struggled with COVID, like had COVID. But yeah, once we get a full season with everyone fit, yeah, it's not great for you, Jay. I'm going to tell you now, bro. It's not great for you. You better just win the WSL this year and enjoy it.
But he'll be fine because he's a Bunny stan, so you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm celebrating no regardless with my Jamaican flag.
Turn up at the bus parade with your flag.
Yeah. My Jamaica hat on as well.
Right. Let's talk the Euros. I mean, we touched on it briefly. Let's talk Euros. Ellen, you excited?
Buzzing. So excited. Yeah, it's just after everything that sport has been through, and I'm going to say women's football and women's sport in particular. So when I was back in Cambridge, I used to present the women's sport podcast, and that we launched that through COVID. And a lot of what we spoke about was how women's sport is going to recover after COVID, because we see, you know, we're still seeing it now, unfortunately, but like clubs weren't getting the right funding. You know, the process of how these players weren't able to play, weren't able to train. You know, it was sort of sometimes, especially lower down the leagues in particular, the women's game was a bit of an afterthought in many cases. So to then see where we're at now, where in particular this situation that I had, well, quite recently, I put in for so many tickets in the ballot because I was like, let's go. Like I had to put all my money into like a separate bank account. I was like, I'm gonna go, because if you put in for loads, you then have to pay for loads. So I was like,
yeah,
they're all right, I'll take the hit. I ended up out of the ballot with 2 pairs of tickets, and that was it. But I was like, do you know what? I'm not that bothered, because that means how many
other people are getting it.
have gone in for that ballot. Loads of my mates at work have got tickets, and I was like, right, okay, well, I'll buy some off you then. But like loads of them have got tickets, and I was like, I didn't even realize you were like into, like, you'd be up for going and that kind of thing. And just the way, you know, it's all over the UK. The spread that they've got, where it's not just the London clubs and not just like the directly central Manchester clubs. The spread they've got, you know, going down to Southampton, Sheffield. I'm so excited. I'm so hyped. Even before we start to look at who England might play, where England will end up, just the whole experience, especially after seeing the men's Euros as well, like seeing last summer. I'm just ready just to go and just have the time of my life. I'm so hyped for it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It took women's sport took a massive hit during COVID. Like even like just looking at the WSL, like attendance wise, we like World Cup massive, and I was like, listen, it's going to be like, we're going to come out of the World Cup and it's going to be so sick. And you saw the growth, and you saw people start getting exciting. And then when football was taken away from everyone, it just like, we just sort of struggled. And it should have been like, okay, we've had the World Cup, we've got the Olympics, there's this new broadcast deal. Like these should have all been pillars building towards it. And it went from the World Cup, COVID, and everyone just sort of went, oh. And like now I feel like we've got the broadcast deal, and then the Euros is like almost like the redemption arc. Like this is it now. Everyone's like super gassed. Like just having live football and like an international tournament at home, I think is going to be so massive for people. Like, because you always get the people who are going to be like, oh, I don't care about women's football. Okay. But during the Olympics, did you care about shot put? Would you say that you're a huge shot put fan? Like, are your family like, do you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people will go for the experience, and then through having a positive experience, will be like, yeah, you know what, I'm on it now. It's much more affordable than a men's game. It's a lot less toxic than a men's game. I always think like when you see families, I'm like, why would you not bring a whole family here? Like this is a few years ago when it's like tickets for kids are £1. I'm like, why would you not? And especially like a city when it's free soft drinks and stuff, like get your whole family, go down, probably cost you a tenner, including the tram. I'm like, this is like mind blowing. Like, how can you not want to take your children to watch live football or take family to live football? And I think whilst people might be like, well, I'm not a City fan, am I? With the Euros, it doesn't really matter. You're going to be seeing an international team. And I think that is going to snowball. And then coming into the next season, it's going to be like wicked.
And that's the thing as well. I don't think people really care who they see. When I was putting in for tickets, I was like, I want to go here, I want to go there. do I really care what I was like, I had obviously had a look to see who might end up in what places, but I didn't really care. And like a lot of my mates had just thought, what's local to us, would like to go, it's in summer, what more could you want? Like, why would you not want a day out watching football, watching sport, being involved in something that is massive? So yeah, I think like, obviously it's nice when you sort of like remove the sort of general like club fan side of things, where a lot of the season you're at sort of each other's throats and you're like, right, okay, here for marginal gain, all of that, like your Twitter sometimes can just be a horrible place, but I'm so ready
sometimes always.
Actually, Twitter after the Arsenal game did not pass the vibe check.
Jay's gonna just turn his video off. He's like, I don't know what you're on about.
I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, no, I'm so ready for a united summer, like we had last summer. Everyone, and literally everyone. My mates were texting me. I had one mate text me like, "Who's England's number 3?" And I was like, "What are you asking?" Like, she's
the trips now. He was 12.
I think it was Luke. I'm pretty sure. Or was it? She was after.
No,
Luke
it was
Shaw,
Luke
basically.
Shaw.
Yeah, she was after Luke Shaw. But I was sat there like, I think I was like home alone at times watching one of the games, and I got a text from my mate like, "Who's England's number 3?" Like, I'm like, "What are you do?" Like, I was like, "You've never watched football in your life," but like the way it unifies, like literally everyone, and having it on the telly and so accessible, and having everything around it accessible as well, the build up to it being so accessible. Arnold Clark Cup we've got coming up, so much that is just going to be like super accessible to get people warmed up, get people hyped up. The international matches we've had, bringing them up to Middlesbrough, bringing them up north, all over the place, to make that accessible, so then when we get to the Women's Euros, everyone across the nation is hyped up. It's not like, and I personally, as much as I'd like to see the women play at Wembley all the time, because I think that is the least they deserve, is to have
the
that
best
option.
It's the pinnacle, isn't it, of English football? Wembley.
How nice
the creme
is
de la
it?
creme.
Absolutely. How nice is it, but to not have to travel if you're based up north, if you can't get down to Wembley, because Wembley can be tricky to get to.
Yeah.
In the best of times, if you live in the south, Wembley can be tricky to get to. So to have the games coming up here, 2 games we've got at Molineux, is that this month? Yeah, 2 games we've got at Molineux. Like, just getting that so accessible for everyone, no matter where you are in the country, is another like huge win for women's football. And that's only going to get people more hyped up for the Euros, when they know they can go and see the top of the top on their doorstep.
Massively. Right. You said you didn't want to get into places and where people can end up. We've got to talk here. Let's talk England. What are your thoughts? Where are your thoughts? Are you thinking they're gonna come out and they're gonna win it? Do you reckon it's gonna be easy money, or are you a bit more restrained than that? Are you moving a bit like Mr. J Extended and gonna bite his tongue?
Bite his tongue? Are you biting your tongue?
The thing is, all I'm saying is England are winning it. That's
fine.
I keep it there. I keep it there.
I knew that you'd said that, so I was like,
yeah.
is he biting his tongue? I was like, I don't think.
I might have to go back through some old podcasts. I'm not sure you've always said England are going to win it, Jay. I might have to watch the reruns.
VAR ref. I think England final, definitely. 100%. And I think they could win it. I think they could win. I'm confident that it could happen, but I'm not. I'm like that. It's challenging. I think there's going to be. I think the whole of women's football has leveled up so much recently, and I know that's a bit different when it comes to when you look at the WSL leveling up to the point where literally anyone can beat anyone this season. Birmingham, Arsenal. Like, we have seen like shocks that we wouldn't have seen seasons before. So I think the whole of like the women's game is leveling up. I think so. That means like, I think obviously like there'll be some teams where like England absolutely cruise through. But I do think that I'm not, I think there'll be challenges. I don't think it's going to be like an easy, I don't think we're just going to cruise through them all. I think there's going to be some battles. I think there's going to be some 1-0s. I think it's going to be tight at times. I think I'm going to be on the edge of my seat a lot. I think I'm going to be like lying down, like, oh, my heart. I think my heart, I don't know if my heart will take it, but I see an England final. definitely.
I think there can definitely be some upsets.
Yeah.
I
Definitely some
would.
upsets. Like you were saying with the quality, there's definitely going to be some upsets that people won't expect, which is always buzzing. But yeah, the home factor is massive. I mean, we saw it last year with the men's Euros. You saw people complaining about like Italy and England played the majority of their games at home, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about. I don't know if it's the like having the fans or being comfortable, but it does play into it massively. Like more than we'll probably ever be able to understand. I mean, we probably have to get a sports psychologist on and ask them the actual science of it. But yeah, I do think that is a huge factor.
Definitely. Yeah, I think there might be some shocks here and there. I mean, I think Spain will look good. Sweden.
Germany always performing Euros.
Germany, yeah. Yeah. It's going to be, I don't think it's going to be like I said, I don't think it's just going to be like an easy cruise through to the final. If it is, dreaming.
Oh yeah, lovely. I mean, I was saying before, like to Jay, I was like, oh, I sort of want to play these teams to test ourselves. And Jay was like, bro, if we could get an easy run to the final and only have to play one quote unquote hard team, like you're not going to complain. And I was like, nah, yeah, you got me. I'm not going to complain.
But at the same time, like you've got to think like these sort of nail-biting games where, you know, either there's like an underdog shock, like maybe a country will not, like England get tied against a country that you'd think would be like an easy cruise through. You know, if there's a tie and they score early, whatever, and then there's a bit of a comeback, you know, those are the games that is really going to advance the women's game, because it's not going to, there won't be that sort of, those fans will always sit there and go, oh, well, England will always win because they've always, like, you know, they've got those.
Speaking of that, you know, the team I can see that happening with, Republic of Ireland. I really think people haven't written them off, but sort of have. But there's a lot of quality there, and I think they could, if they could get a goal early, because I'm hoping they'll have a lot of fans over as well, because it's not too far sort of thing, and I think that could be like a real. And it's to start our tournament, and we're like, oh, this could be a bit. Don't want to mess this one up. Like the country's watching, and it's like, it's a potential banana skin for me.
Well, you look at what happened with England, Scotland. I mean, that was 0-0, but you'd think, oh, was it
cruising? Should cruise out,
wasn't it? The Euros is an absolute, men's Euros is an absolute blur to me. I was like working quite a lot of them, and then it was like got to the final. I was like, I'm not even sure how we got here, to be fair. It's like, even though I was like working most of the games, I was like, yeah, it's just all like, you know, when you're like just so absorbed in it. But it'd be so nice to sort of feel that and have that with the women's game, to be like, you know, being there and being like so absorbed in all the sports, and like finding out more about like the players that will pop up on these teams that we won't have heard of, that we might not have seen called up or whatever. Yeah, I think like generally, like as a all round, there's so much to be excited for.
I'd say watch out for Norway. I think because I really hear about Germany, Spain. Those are obviously the big teams, but Norway has so much talent. Obviously, Julie Blackstad, she'll be there, and like when you look at her record before she got to City, like think about all the talent that Norway produces year in, year out. Like, yeah, especially they're going to be in England's group, so that's going to be very interesting. And I think people are going to be spoiled. That's the biggest thing from the Euros. Like a lot of people are going to be spoiled because it's kind of hard to watch certain games in certain leagues. So normally people are used to the WSL, but the Euros is going to definitely put a lot of people on radar, and I'm excited for it.
You know, my thing, the main thing I'm hoping for, I don't know if this is like the child in me, but like growing up, World Cups, Euros, like I used to love like the sticker books and like the playing cards. I just really hope like Match of the Day mag, Match Attack all go really big and like put out loads of stuff, because that's the easiest way to learn about it. And it's like, okay, watching them is cool and is like the easiest way as such, but when the games aren't on, like, okay, what can I take from this? And it's like, okay, Man City sign someone from like, I don't know, a random team, like a youngster from a Sweden. You're like, oh, I never heard of them, I've never watched them play. And then you're like, oh, hang on a minute, I've actually got their trading card. And then you're like, okay, they've got 44 attacking, 78 defending, like, but they're a left back. So, and even like small things like that, that isn't really going to give you that good of an idea. Like, you're never going to be able to go jump on Sky Sports or Match of the Day and give punditry on that knowledge, but it's just a little tiny bit of knowledge that you can go to school with and be like, oh yeah, I know about her. She's a decent defender, and no one's gonna lie about it and be like, oh no, she's not, because it's like, oh, I've got the playing card. And I think little things like that, even like we had like, I don't know, I think it was 2002 or 2004. This is showing my age. We used to get like coins from Sainsbury's when you like, do you remember them? When you like filled up petrol or spent whatever money, it was out of the England team.
Yeah.
And you have like, I got like a Michael Owen coin. I was like, this is the best thing ever. Little things like that probably don't seem that major, but things like that I think will make the Euros like amazing for like kids. I think it would be so special for them to have all them things.
Now you're saying kids, but I was talking the other day, like, I'm so ready for the sticker book, because growing up as a girl, never had that. Like, I was talking the other day, like, I genuinely feel like it's so weird, because I've got mates who aren't really like they follow football, whatever, like they're interested, but they don't like broadcast or anything, and they'll come out, like, we'll be sat watching a game or whatever, and they'll come out and just start randomly commentating. I'm like, how are you doing that? Like, what the heck? Like, how's that a thing? Well, I was like, why are you commentating? They've been playing FIFA all their life. So they've been there with like the fake commentary in their ears, like hearing that. So they know like all these little quibs to come up with. And like you get that watching the matches anyway, but like the way like things are picked up, and like the way, especially like when you look at like growing up as a guy, growing up as a girl, like it's so different. Like, I never had the sticker books. I had a couple of match tech cards kind of things that I'd sort of like collate when one of the boys was thinking they'd be nice to me and give me a card, because I was like, no, I have a card, please.
Giving them doubles, get it.
yeah, exactly.
That was me as a kid. I used to get, because I was a Man City fan down south, all my friends were like United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. So they'd get like Rolando Bianchi, like one or two stars. Liam drew on it. I was like, yes, get in. I remember filling out the entire page, and my dad was like, how have you managed to do this? And I was like, bro, like, I've got a shiny Sylvan-Distan. You mad? Like, this is sick.
But that's it. Like, that was never a thing. Like, that was never a thing for me growing up, just because it was just like, at that time, you know, growing up in the early 2000s, it was still a very much girls do their sports, boys do their sports, and the overlap there wasn't like, it wasn't encouraged, and it was never really a thing. Like, I remember I never really did like dance classes and that, but I ended up like somehow finding my way into that. I think I probably did some dance like practice classes, but I was always there. Like, I was on the tag rugby team and like all of that. And I wish I could have continued that into secondary school, but again, like that wasn't an option. So like, when I was growing up, like I'd have killed to have something like that, where, you know, especially seeing like women's players as well, like then there would be no reason for me not to have that. Like, no one
100 have done that very well. Like the crossover between like the seamless transition. Like, I remember we were like, they were handing out playing cards or like little packs of cards at the final. And it was like, you open a pack and it's like, I've got men's team, women's team. And it's like, okay, like both teams have shinies, and it's just better, like being able to get it and be like, oh, okay, this is my pack. I've got some women's players, I've got some men's players, and it's like, okay, cool, right, I'm going to collect up all of Southern Brave, so they all go in one pile. Yeah. And there's no, well, I'm only collecting the men's ones, like, because you're like, well, you've only got 4 cards, then you're throwing away half the pack, there's no point.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that. And it's probably like, it doesn't seem very major, but like it is in terms of like coverage and visibility, it's so important.
Yeah, I think it is so important. I don't think people really realize, like, it's only me growing up not growing up playing FIFA, not growing up doing all of that. Like, me, like, now I can look back and say, oh my god, I would have killed for something like that. Like, mentioning the 100, like, I think I'm pretty sure like, at least it was for a bit. I'm not sure if it was like, but if you go on the 100's like homepage and like find the team and then go through the team sheet, and it's all like got their headshots and like all of that, it's not men's team, it's not women's team, they're all bundled together and they're all mixed. Like, you know, it's like, you know, there's a men's player, there's a women's player, like, so when you go through the team, there's both there, like really present and in your face. And like, where else do you get that? I think like they've been so forward as well. And I tweeted the other day, like, my mum like text
Oh,
me.
just when you were airing your mum's messages.
No, so bad.
We all saw it a whole day, still no reply.
It's because I'd phoned her like pretty much straight afterwards. And then it
No, I
doesn't
believe
show
you. I
up.
believe
It
you.
doesn't show up. Like, I'm not a bad daughter. Like, don't come to me. But like, she texted me. She's like, "Do you want to go see the hundreds?" She said the hundreds because she was like, men and the women, both of them.
Like it.
You want to go and see the hundreds at Lord's? And I was like, she would have never gone to see cricket or like been like, let's go and watch the cricket. Like, that's so unlike her, or like what I thought would be unlike her. But since they've been on the telly, and her and dad have like, I'm going home over summer, and dad was like, I turned up and they've got the cricket on, and I'm like, what? Like, I grew up in like athletics household, and it was very much individual sports. Unless you're passing a baton to someone else, like, you are for yourself. Like, that was like how we grew up. Like, no team sport. Like, really sort of within the, like, we were very much like a running, cycling, swimming family. Apart from like, you know, when my like granddad and my grandpa would like take me out, they were like the football sort of like heavy sort of influences in my life. But my mum and dad in particular, like, and now they're like, they were like, yeah, we're going to go and watch some cricket. Mum was like, do you want to go and watch the netball now? Because the netball's been on BBC One and they can get it on Sky's YouTube for free. And now Mum's booked tickets to go and see. Who's she seeing? Seeing Jamaica play Australia. Like,
Jay's there.
Yeah, go with my
ready.
mum.
Text your mum +1.
Yeah, Steph will absolutely love that. Just down the road from you as well. Yeah, get Steph on it. But like, you know, like apart from like, yeah, my cousins currently live in Australia, but we haven't got like that much of a family tie that she'd be like crazily supporting Australia. She just wants to go and see some netball. She doesn't care who she sees. Like, it could have been anyone. Like, Australia, Jamaica is going to be an incredible game because like the two absolutely class teams. I was like, when she told me that, I was like, well, you're gonna have a great day. Like, that's amazing. But like, she doesn't care. She just wants to go and see some sport. And it's like that for me, like, genuinely made me so proud, because that's how like the representation and making more women's sport more accessible, like that's how it works. And it's not just my generation, the younger generations, it's like our parents as well. Like, seeing my 50-year-old mum be like, this is what I want to do, like, that's so good. Like, you know, there's not, like, I hate it when it's like, oh, we'll wait, like delay and stuff. Like, do it in the present, because like there's people like the older generation now who would love to go to the sports like that.
Visibility and accessibility are the key.
So like, so true.
Being able to just, and especially with the 100 as well, like we're talking about with the Euros, it's dotted everywhere. So I've been watching on TV. I really want to do it. We're Manchester based. I can't. I don't want to go down to London. I don't have to pay for 4 tickets, spend 200 odd quid on tickets. I can just jump on a tram and go to Old Trafford, and just stuff like that. I think that is going to be the biggest thing. And I think that's what's going to help the Euros, with being all over the place. Everyone's going to have a local game as such.
Yeah.
And being able to do that, I think, is going to be absolutely wicked and going to make it so much more inclusive and get so many more people on board.
That's the thing. If my mum's doing that, like, that's just like, how many more people are going to go out and do similar things? Like, that's not me outing Steph. Like, that's me being like, you know, if she's doing
she's going to come out, oh, I've got all these tickets on the ballot. It's like, I can't make it this one, you want it. She's going to double the price after you've not texting her back, I tell you.
She's going to be she'll be selling the tickets off to me. She'll be like, I got all the ballot tickets. That's the reason I got no ballot tickets, because Steph has put in for the whole of she's booked out the whole of Wembley. She's there like, right, let's go, kids.
And then what have you got coming up? What can we look out for from you?
Oh, what have I got coming up? In the minute, just lots of city work. Is really like sort of like the big thing where you'll see me sort of out and about, and you'll probably see a lot on my Insta. Yeah, just a lot of that. Like I said, we've got quite a few home matches coming up.
Got quite a lot of derbies, haven't we?
My gosh.
And if we go through, if the tie's right, Conti Cup will be the day before the men's derby, which the branding will be very sick on that if that happens. It will be very cool.
So yeah, that's the day before the men's derby, but the Conti Cup final could also still be an all Manchester final.
Yeah, exactly.
We could be traveling to Wimbledon for a derby day.
I'm telling you, if it's back-to-back derbies, the branding, Danny Lennon is going to be out here, mate, whipping up a madness. It'll be sick.
Yeah, lots of derbies. I was trying to math it in my head. Like we've seemed to like Leicester and United. We've played a huge amount. I think partly being in the same Conti Cup group, but Leicester, I think we played 3 times in 3 months at the start of the season. Like, so we played them in the quarterfinal of last season's FA Cup, then played them in the league, and then played them in the cup. So we were like, that was like my regular thing was always like we're always playing Leicester. And now, yeah, United in the draw, which is going to be, it's a big clash that, because, you know, we're very much like, I feel like we're now in such a strong position. And if you look at how close the matches have been in the previous derbies we've had already this season, you know, the 2 all back October, I think it's going to be a great clash. It's going to be a great clash. It's going to be like like another great one as well. Like that's going to be so good to watch. FA Cup weekend, going to be a great watch for the neutral. It's going to be a great watch for the fans. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited. I'm like, obviously when I saw that, I was like properly like Brenda and Bristol, like not another one. I was like, it's happening again. I was like, what are the chances? I was
you can never have too many derbies, I'll tell you, especially when they've been as good as they've been. Yeah. Like they all sort of like, that's my favorite thing about derby. Like form just gets stripped back and no one really cares. You can come into a derby on the back of 5 losses and then you pitch and it's like, you know what, forget what happened yesterday. Like this is us now for 90 minutes. Let's just do all we can.
After the first one we had in the league back in October, so I was running a marathon the next day and I was like, I'm gonna go, like I've got the day off, so I was like, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna enjoy it, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna enjoy it, I'm gonna have a nice day out at Leeds Sports Village, and not best because I've got a marathon tomorrow and I need to sleep. And then I came home and I was like rage driving all the way home.
It was good. It was a good turnout for that game. I went to that game. It was a good turnout.
Yeah, it was such a good turnout. My heart, I was doing this to try and be like, you know, nice day out, go with the fans, go with the supporters club, you know, great day out, cheering on the team. I came back and I was like, my heart palpitations. I was like, I don't think I can run a marathon tomorrow. You know, I was like, proper lie down. But yeah, like it's so good for the fans as well. It's like that's the main thing about the derbies, isn't it? Like that rivalry. Yeah. And I know it's like it's spicy as well. Like I feel like it's getting a bit more spicier between like the women's teams. Like, you know, you've always got the men's derby was always like,
oh yeah, it's got a bit now. It's a bit tasty now.
Yeah, now we're getting like,
tap off and you're like, yeah, I can get in on this. This is what I'm here for. Yeah,
but like, yeah,
this is what I'm here for.
Yeah, but like, yeah, it's like you say, like, you know, there's lots of that going on. Like, everything is on the line. Nice, like the players go out there and they're like, right, let's go for it. But then also the fans are getting behind it as well. There's the spiciness with the fans, and because we're a bit more sort of like move on from it. Like once
it's a bit more. It feels like it's a bit, especially this stage in the season. United sitting where they are, we effectively want their spot. So that's always going to add a bit more. And it's like, okay, they're trying to defend where they are. City have got the momentum. They're coming after them. It's like, no one likes being chased. No, you've got it all to lose as well. You're like, yeah, I don't know about this one.
That's the thing. Yeah. So we've got Derby Day on the 13th and then FA Cup Day derbies yet to be decided. Those are on the 27th, weekend of the 27th, but they could be the Saturday or the Sunday. So what's that? Like, yeah, 13 days apart.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I think.
And then Conti Cup final between the two teams. What's that? 2 weeks after?
So
a week after?
Is that 5th, 6th?
That's the 5th and the 6th that weekend, isn't it?
Oh.
It's getting a little bit tasty. Ellen, thank you so much for coming on. People, get yourselves down to the Academy Stadium and also watch some wicked football. Jay, big thanks to you. Down to the Academy Stadium and also watch some wicked football. Jay, big thanks to you as always, and we'll see you next time.